Hello. I just want to jump on here right quick and talk to you guys about today being National Suicide Awareness Day. And of course, you guys are aware that this month is National Suicide Awareness Month. So I just want to get out here with some basic facts that the CDC says that suicide rates have increased by 30% since 1999. And these are alarming rates to me, considering that we have so much information out there to get individuals some help. There's so many advocacies. There's so many ways to get free help. And I see a lot of family members, families, friends who are dealing with grief from individuals taking their lives by suicide. I just saw a post come through my Instagram feed by a fellow counselor, and it was a friend of hers, but I knew of the person, I just didn't know them. And they had just, it was a pastor, just took his life within the last 24 hours. And I just think in my head what his wife, what the congregation must be thinking and going through right now. Because I know they said that he had dealt with suicide issues and he was actually going to school to try to get his counseling degree. But he actually had organizations set up for people who had suicide problems. Now, I don't want to act like it has never affected me. It has. As a teenager, I was a person who always thought about suicide. I hated my life. I wanted to be dead. Anything I could do to make that happen, I did. I would try. So when I hear the stories, I can only imagine, because I remember the mental anguish I felt of what they must feel. So I want to get on here and talk about, even though we talk about this and people are not getting help, or some of the ones who are, and I just want to clap for you that you are getting help and you are being compliant with treatment, because I know that's a big, huge step as well. But we all know that suicide is rarely caused by one single factor. We all know that. It can be, for example, relationships. You can have a breakup. And I used to see this a lot with my friends growing up, how they would go through this hard breakup with a guy, and they would want to commit suicide because he would not talk to them. They, just the relationship went left, just not what they wanted. Or you got someone that's dealing with substance abuse, their physical health. And we see this a lot with people who have illnesses that are deadly, and they don't want to live in pain. They don't want to put the pressure on their family members to take care of them. So they try to commit suicide or have set up suicide with their family members or someone to help them do it. So these are other things that we see, not to mention your job, you lose your job. We see people want to commit suicide from losing their jobs. Finances, not having enough money to pay your bills. That's a lot of stress. And that type of stress can be detrimental on an individual. Not to mention legal issues, divorce, or being homeless. Types of issues that affects a lot of people. It says, I saw on the CDC that said each year 41,000 individuals die by suicide. 41,000 individuals will die by suicide. That's crazy to me. And they're leaving loved ones behind, friends and family members that are affected by the decision they made. And we call them suicide loss survivors. And they're left in the dark with so many questions with why, what could I have done? What should I have said? And you see it more than you don't see it. So, and you don't have answers to these questions. So I want to get on here and talk about the warning signs. And there are several warning signs when it comes to suicide. There's increased alcohol and drug use. There's aggressive behavior. They withdraw from their friends, family, community. They'll change their whole lifestyle around. I've seen that happen. Dramatic mood swings. And if you're dealing with someone like that, that's a whole nother story. Impulsive or reckless behavior. And if you have someone that is dealing with this, and they have a psychiatrist or they have a therapist, get in touch with them immediately, because they do listen to family members that will tell them the truth about what's going on, or call a healthcare provider or dial 911. Those are emergency trained professionals that are ready to help you. If you see an individual that's paying off bills, they buy a weapon, they give away possessions, they tie up loose ends, and they start saying goodbye to family and friends, those are warning signs that that individual may be considering suicide or getting ready to commit suicide. So, but I want you to understand that when we talk about this, we have to understand that suicide does not care who you are. It doesn't care where you come from. It doesn't care where you grew up. It doesn't care what type of degrees you have. It doesn't care what your status quo in society is. It doesn't care about the money in your bank. It doesn't care about your race. Suicide and mental health can take you out. Mental illness, I should have said, will take you out. So get the help that you need and deserve. And not to mention, this month is here for suicide prevention and suicide awareness, because we want to talk about issues that people don't want to talk about. No one wants to talk about this type of crisis, but we are steadily seeing people die by suicide. And I know that it sounds so cliche that someone's on here talking about it on World Suicide Day, but I literally, like I said, just saw through my feed, and it hurt me to my core for that family and for that church and what they're about to go through and the questions that they will have and what could I have done different. So there's a lot of risk factors too that come with suicide. And there is a family history of suicide, substance abuse, people who are intoxicated all the time. More than 1 in 3 people who die from suicide under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time of death. They have access to firearms. And if you know someone who's wanting to commit suicide and you know they have access to firearms, do whatever you can to take them out of their possession, whatever it takes, because they will use one of those firearms to take their lives. People who are having issues with their gender, especially like we hear in the LGBTQ community. And, you know, we can only do so much, but to be there for someone who is having issues with who they are, they deserve treatment and help as well. People who have a history of trauma or abuse, prolonged stress, or people who have a recent tragedy or loss in their lives. These are risk factors for people who will want to commit suicide. And you have to be on alert. If they're your friends and family, be on alert and pay attention, because there are people, even if you're not trained and you don't feel that you can even take care of this or handle it, there are people out there who can. They will help you. NAMI has a number, and I'm definitely going to tell you when I finish this what that number is. But there's support for people who are dealing with a crisis, especially when it's suicide crisis. If you're called off guard, you don't know what to say or do, and it's presented itself to you, what do you do? Well, let me tell you, the first thing I would do is remove all knives, remove all guns, pills from my house. That's one thing I would do. Calmly, simply, and ask questions. Ask questions you don't want no answers to, but you got to ask the questions, because you will think later on, I should have said this. Maybe if I had asked this, that would have gave me more clarity. It works, I'm telling you. And a lot of times people want someone to talk to help them not do it. Or express support and concern. Don't argue, don't threaten them, and don't raise your voice. Don't do any of that, okay? Just don't do that. And don't debate with them whether suicide is right or wrong, because in their mind, that is the only option they have. I've been there and understand that they feel like they're a burden to people, and this is the best solution for them is not to be in life, to live life anymore. So if you're dealing with that and you don't feel like you're qualified, most of us don't feel that way. Even as a trained counselor, I want to tell people that there are people out there to help you. Like I said, NAMI has a number. It's the National Suicide Hotline, and it's 1-800-273-TALK. So it's 1-800-273-8255. And NAMI has a text. You can text NAMI at 741-741. So that's NAMI 741-741 to be connected to a free trained crisis counselor. So there are people out here who are willing to help. They're trained. They're professionals. They're not going to argue you down. They're not going to debate with you. They're going to listen, and they want to help you. We don't want to see you dead. And families shouldn't have to deal with this. So if you need help, get the help. I pray that for anyone who is dealing with this type of issue right now, really, really gets the help and support they need. All right, that's it. I'll talk with you guys soon.